Hi, I'm here today with Mickey Shaposhnik of Next Plus, and they're a new member of camps. I wanted to introduce them to you and what they offer. This is a global company, and they've got something very special. And so, Mickey, I'm excited to have you here today.
Kirk, thank you so much for having me here. We're excited to be here. So that's awesome. We're excited to be part of camps already. Our first week, I think, is this
Yes,
week, right?
yes. And so we're very excited to share what you do with our community. We are really excited about what technology is enabling for our manufacturers. And of course, you've done a lot of thinking. Tell us what Next Plus is and how you got it started and the
Cool,
journey.
thank you. So Next Plus, we're trying not to use the three-letter acronym MES. So we're actually the anti-MES MES. That's how we call ourselves. And the reason is because we see the MES space as being a bit hard, right? And specifically for like smaller manufacturers and mid-sized manufacturers, installing an MES is a big pain that everybody's afraid of, right? There's a big check at the beginning and a really long like install time of the system. So we're trying to be really fast with deployment and not a lot of integration and make it everything like no code and drag and droppy. And that's why we're the anti-MES MES. And we're trying to help mid-sized manufacturers get better and at what they're doing and help them be the best at what they're doing, right? So we're just helping. And me specifically, I got to this. I was a manufacturer. I worked for one of Israel's biggest defense and aerospace manufacturers. I saw those pain points. We worked there for a lot of years. And then this started as an answer to my pains and became the company it is today.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I think you've really nailed the MES. It's difficult. And companies spend a ton of money and then time trying to get the MES system doing, but they need it. They need that information. But that's really interesting. You became the anti-MES.
And the time to value is always like the thing, right? Because you buy it and maybe you'll get value in a year, but you're investing now, you're not investing in a year. And if it won't work or you need to switch, the capital invested already is so big that you will never switch. And we're trying to do everything in business model and in the technology to make it like the opposite.
It's funny, the pain points that I'm hearing about, because I haven't had a lot of conversation about MES, but it's with the ERP systems. So they do the same problem with the ERPs is they spend tons of money, tons, and then they get through the fixes. And I watch them get to the very end of that and go, I don't like this system. I want a different one.
But I'm
So
stuck with it, right?
yes. Oh
But
yeah.
I'll tell you a secret. They can change because the other ones are exactly the same. All ERPs are pretty much the same. It's a lot of tables doing a lot of things. It's important. You gotta have it, and you hate
Yes.
it when you have it, but that's it. And the interesting part, by the way, that like 2000 to 2015 was like the ERP
Hmm.
era. Everybody got an ERP, whether it's Oracle, NetSuite, SAP, QAD, whatever. And those like this 5 years, 2020 until today, is getting like the golden era of MES.
Yes.
But we're trying to make it less painful than what happened with ERP. That,
Good.
that's a good goal
That's
for us.
great news. No, that is really great news. One, I've got a lot of questions for you, and I want to help them understand your technology and what it would mean. But one of the areas is work instructions. So you've done something unique with the work instructions.
Yes, so when we look at MES, there's a lot of like pillars that you need to take care of, right? So machine connectivity that we'll talk in a minute and data collection. But one of the pain points that we saw a lot in our customers, and again, for me as a like my own customer, is that SOPs, standard operating procedures, and work instructions were always a pain for two people. The first one is the guy who writes those. That's a lot of work, and he wants to be an engineer. He doesn't want to be a technical writer. And the other guy is the guy using them when he wants to, I don't know, assemble a car, right? So who likes reading those work instructions? So we're trying to reduce friction on both sides. And when I'm assembling the car, I want to see it like in multimedia on my tablet in front of me and in a nice way, not in a PDF that no one sees and is stuck in some cabinet at the back of the work
Yes.
of the shop floor.
Yeah, work instructions become clunky if they're not digital, right? So how did you guys, what was your solution for work instructions and SOPs?
So one of the things that we saw about work instructions is that all work instructions in the world are linear to this.
Sequential. Yeah.
And even though if they have like a sequential, you're right, sorry.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And even though if they have multimedia, that's okay, but they're still sequential. And we saw that in a lot of cases, they're actually not sequential. So you get to a point and you need to ask, is the LED red or green? And if it's red, you do this. And if it's green, you do this. And then suddenly, without wanting this, you need your employees' heads to decide what to do. And they do like the decision trees in the head. So one of the first thing that we did is like all of our work instructions should be trees and not sequential. So
Uh,
for the employee, it looks sequential, but at the back end, you build trees of decisions. That's the idea.
if this, then this.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it could be like really intricate. A lot of like things that can happen, and you collect data from a machine. And if the machine is at a set temperature, you do this. And the employee doesn't know. He needs now to screw this screw into a specific place or add some Loctite or whatever. It doesn't understand why. It just because of those things, he's doing this.
Boy. So your solution, how do employees experience your solution then for these SOPs and work instructions?
That's actually a really an interesting question. So a lot of the things that we see while we're selling to our customers is that they're really afraid that their employees will hate it and won't use it. And I'll use our example from the beginning with ERPs, right? So you buy an ERP and you get a system that looks like enormous amounts of tables and you need to remember like shortcuts on your keyboard to use it. And when we thought about how do we want to show the employees the work instructions, we thought about all of those employees have Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. And we want the work instructions to look more like TikTok and less a
Uh,
PDF that an engineer wrote and no one wants to read. So you
that's
make them
great.
use it by getting something familiar, and it could be with the user experience on one side and the
Wonderful.
technology on the other side. So on their own phone or on a tablet, or not on something that they know how to use with a weird keyboard on it.
I love that. I love the idea that it's has that familiarity to it.
It has
So
to have it.
troubleshooting is a very important part of this too, because if something doesn't work right. So you build troubleshooting into this as well.
Yeah, so in two main ways. One is I implied it when we talked about trees of decisions. So it could be for troubleshooting or for assembly, for example. But the other one is troubleshooting that is created automatically from unstructured data. So let's imagine we have like fault reports, right? And we have like tools for fault reports to be filled up, even though everybody hates filling up fault reports, right? That's something that everybody hates. So we have a really cool AI tool that helps the employee fill them out automatically. Just read something and it gets all the categories automatically. But on the other side, after we have all of this unstructured data, me as a new employee can come and ask the system, like, X doesn't work, what to do now? And the system automatically goes and reads through those fault reports and gives me a dynamic answer of what to do. So the troubleshooting is dynamically generated on top of all of the knowledge that is created. And after I fix this, it adds to this knowledge. And now the next question will be even a better answer because more and more knowledge is created while we're fixing things.
Wow. That's so fantastic because troubleshooting, I've had a lot of conversations about this, especially with companies who that's what they specialize in is fixing something. But going
Mhm.
back to the manuals, going back to all of the updates to the manuals. But this is interesting because it actually, as it's going through the process, it's learning at the same time.
Exactly. And you can make it write your troubleshooting trees as well or use it dynamically. So imagine how much time we can cut on writing those manuals, right? By the system writing it by itself from us actually fixing those faults.
One of the most exciting things that I think I've come across when I've toured manufacturing shops that have just converted to an MES system, but it took a while, a lot of cost, but that they had real-time information.
Mhm.
And so to me, this is one of the revolutionary parts of your solution is that you're actually putting manufacturers into a real-time knowledge environment.
Yeah. And it can come from like different data silos, right? So until now we talked about employees and how we collect data from them with like smart forms and things like that. And we have another pillar of collecting data from the machines themselves, right? So we have a CNC machine, I can collect the spindle speed or the temperature and get this into the context of Mickey operating the CNC machine, getting a good part of it, or someone else getting a bad part, but what was different? And then I can make the next part better and have less faults and save a lot of money on reworks and a lot of money on scrap.
So you've got the information from employees, you got the information from the machines, which is ideal, of course. And now the operator, it sounds like to me, by talking to your software essentially,
It's literally, by the way, literally talking.
yeah, conversational, right?
Yeah.
Now they can ask the question, why did this? Or why this is what's happening? What can I do about it?
Yep. But
So
no, one of the cooler parts, I'll just add one more
please,
thing. So data collection in shop floors and specifically, let's say mid-sized or small-sized. So they have machines, and in a lot of cases, they have a lot of siloed data as well. So, for example, let's talk about a CNC shop, right? And you'll probably have a caliper measuring something or a micrometer, right? Measuring something after the CNC machine. And you probably won't buy an electric caliper, right? You won't connect it to your system. The cost is too high for the value. So one of the cooler things that we built is an option to take an image of the caliper every time you take like the measurement,
Um,
and it automatically takes from the image the answer to the system, and you get it digitized automatically without investing in the connectivity.
that's been one of my concerns about this technology with manufacturers is that so much of what they do is old school, meaning it's not the best time for them to invest in upgrading all their technology so that it can go to a system. But now your system allows the operator to take a picture of a dial or a caliper or
Exactly.
whatever, and now that information is part of the system again.
Yep. And the interesting part, you said old school, and old school comes with a few facets, right? So one is old school technology, but on the other side, I know, at least in Israel, right? So a lot of the employees on the shop floors are have a lot of knowledge, like tribal knowledge in their head. And
Huh.
once they're retiring, we see facilities that suddenly don't know how to do anything. And the SOP creation type of thing and getting this knowledge into from unstructured to structured, I think is key for continuity in manufacturing. And we're talking about made in the USA. I think that's one of the most important things is how to preserve the knowledge of this tier of people.
Everybody that I'm talking to would agree with you that they're concerned because the people who know how to do it and get it done, they've been doing it for so many years and they're automatically troubleshooting. They know the work instructions, they know the SOPs, and it's second nature to them.
They don't need an SOP, they just feel it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, at those higher levels, we've talked about somebody who's been doing this decades, maybe. It's intuitive. Yeah.
But Kirk, I'll tell you a secret from here, right? Not from, I'll tell you our problem. So they retire, right? My parents retired from this type of jobs, right? With their type of knowledge. And the Gen Zers that are coming are not staying for more than 2 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So they're not actually creating this new tribal knowledge. And that's an enormous problem, right? So you have a short time of net usage of the employee, and how do you use it? And everybody's talking about robotics, right? And Elon is talking about the humanoids, and
Sure.
that's cool. But the gap is big. And
Yes,
it's today, it's not in 10 to 20 years.
that's right. Oh, it's happening big time today. So yeah, capturing tribal knowledge. What's so interesting about your system is there's a layer of information needed for the operator. Where a lot of times when I see these MESs or these ERPs, it's trying to funnel information to management, and the operator just has the burden of trying to upload
Of to
information.
push data inside, exactly.
Yeah, but this sounds like it's actually functional for the operator, which
Yep.
to me increases its value immensely.
When we talked about like that people have TikTok and have Instagram and have Facebook, so it's not only about UI, it's about the usage, right? So me on Facebook, I read stuff, I consume, but I write stuff as well, right? So that's part of what I'm expected to do in those types of platforms. And it should be the same with my professional knowledge as well. Or when I'm talking about Wikipedia, right? I can ask Google or Wikipedia anything, but how to use my CNC to create this part, no one will give me the answer. So we're trying to build like the local Wikipedia for this manufacturer, for this machine, for
That's a
this specific part.
great, it's a great way to look at it. And I can only imagine your customers have really appreciated the lift. This has got to be a lift because now you're getting workers who are AI assisted,
Mhm.
essentially.
Yep, that's exactly it. Because again, everybody's afraid like the AI will replace us. Two interesting things. So first of all, like blue collar will probably as the opposite like 5 years ago of what everybody thought, like humanity thought there will be the first replaced with robots. So that's like exactly the opposite, right?
Yes.
We need more blue collar. We need
Yes.
more employees on the shop floor. And now let's find ways for this new shiny technology that everybody says we need AI, but let's make it practical to help those employees do better. That's what we need.
So what I'm hearing at the same time is this is informing the operational team so that they get better. So a lot of times I do see information pushed to management and they're always thinking, how do I make things better? But this actually involves the operators. For things like OEE, they can see the problem. They can be part of the solution.
Yep. And OE is like the go-to for everybody, but we tend to forget OLE. right? Overall labor efficiency.
Yeah,
That's a thing as well.
it
That's an
is.
important part of the puzzle of how our shop floors work. And there's a lot of manual labor today, right? We tend to think
Oh,
everything is machinery, but no, there's a lot of manual labor.
yeah. So OLE, that I like that. First time I've heard that, but I really like it.
It is
And it
important. It is
makes
important.
sense, especially if there's a tool and an intelligence to actually help facilitate that. So
Yep.
before it's really like you said, been haphazard, but with this Gen Z coming in, like you mentioned, and they're here 2 to 5 years, you're not going
Yep.
to be building decades of experience with that group.
And if you build on that, like another tier of regulation, so let's say you're building airplanes, right? So you have ISO AS 9100, or you're building medical devices, so you have FDA CFR 21 Part 11, and or food and beverage even, right? Up and suddenly SOPs are extremely mandatory and extremely hated,
Yes.
right? And we need to find a better way to do them. That's what we're thinking about.
One of the bigger problems that I see now is that the information is so siloed. So the
Mhm.
information gets so siloed, and then the reporting gets so slow because it's painful.
Mhm.
Whiteboards, spreadsheets, and making certain, I think a lot gets missed. But how are you solving this problem with siloed data and slow reporting?
So you said something interesting. We see today in 2025, and for me, it's always mind-boggling, but we see like post-its or paper things going
Oh, yeah.
with metal things that we're creating that someone adds like a note or writes something on it. And you said siloed, but that's even it's harder. It's siloed and you can't do anything with it except looking at it physically, going down to the shop floor and looking at it. And I'm all for going down to the shop floor, but like the first step, and it doesn't matter if you lose Next Plus or our competitors or Google Forms, we don't care. We don't care. But the first step of just digitizing it, it's like democratizing. Oh, sorry for my English.
Yeah, I'm with
You
you.
got the word I
No,
was.
you're 100% correct. Yeah. If that information can become digitized, now we can do something with it rather than just
It's
go down and
10x
look at it.
easier to do something with it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fantastic insight. You mentioned something in your website called At the Speed of Thought. Tell us more about that.
So it's connected to all of the things that we talked earlier about SOP creation, right? So the idea here is if you look about how SOPs were created until Next Plus, right? So there's an engineer, there's a tech writer, sometimes they're the same person, sometimes not, right? And he's explaining, he's writing, then they go down to the shop floor and then they check and then they rewrite and then they the whole iterative thing. And we're talking about like the market standard is 1 to 5 to 1 to 10. That means so let's say I'm assembling something and it takes 1 hour. So it takes 5 to 10 hours to write the SOP. And though that's a mind-boggling numbers,
Yeah,
right? So
it
if I
is.
have a lot of SKUs, I need a lot of engineering time for that. And the tools we're building, so for example, we have a tool called Video Magic Maker, right? So you literally take a phone, you take a video of the guy doing the first one, you click create work instructions, and you get it ready. And always like people are saying that's not 100% perfect. So first of all, you're right, it's not 100% perfect, but let's say it's only 80% perfect, right? So we're saving only 80% of your engineering time. So that's what we mean in the speed of
Yeah.
thought, right? And it's a game changer because it not only makes things faster, but because it was so slow before that, people like decided not to do some of the SOPs. And now because it's so easy, you suddenly see more SOPs that you didn't have before. Not only you're saving money, you're actually producing new revenues.
Incredible. I love that only because it's making things that were hard, it's making them so much easier and faster. Yeah.
Yep.
And so
That's how we should use technology, right? It should help us. It shouldn't be like a table for us to fill more data and make our life harder.
it should make our life easier. It really,
Easier, exactly.
yes.
That's the goal of technology at the core. Every technology, not like AI or not only ours. That's the idea of technology.
I really like that we've covered how your solution is helping people on the operational floor. It's
Mhm.
an actual tool for insights, for troubleshooting, for understanding the work that needs to be done, capturing that tribal knowledge. So that's actually incredible. But what about for engineers? What is your
Mhm.
software doing for the engineers?
So exactly when we're looking at the job of the engineer, they have the R&D part of work,
Yeah.
right? So that's why engineers, by the way, go to engineering school. They want to like invent new stuff. That's why I went to engineering school, right? And then you get like your first job and you understand that 99.5% out of it is creating documents. So if we help engineers create less documents because they will be created automatically and they can engineer more, they love us. So
Yeah,
that's
that's a good
how
point.
we're helping them.
Boy, yeah, that and I think of a lot of careers, my career even. I would love to have spent a lot more time doing my job that I enjoyed and a lot less time on paperwork.
Yeah, and
That's a fantastic
it's across, by the
value.
way, industries and across job descriptions, right? Us, like knowledge employees, no matter what type of knowledge employee, until AI, were pretty much paper pushers, right? We were
Yes,
just writing things about the little thing that we did.
yes.
I think, by the way, the only exception to this, and it's more of a philosophical thought, right? Software engineering, I think, is the only engineering where because the thing that you're doing is the thing itself, so more percentage of your like time is net producing and not net creating things about producing. But again, that's
You know,
philosophy more
when
than
I think of the productivity curve on that, if engineers could spend more time engineering, the productivity on that's going to be huge. Now,
exactly.
there is I think engineers get divided between maintenance and R&D, right? So what I'm hearing is that the maintenance side of that could really lighten up.
Yep. Yep. But that's something that I see it not as a necessarily a cost reduction, but more of
No,
we can use the same people to do more stuff, right?
yeah,
Or more
there,
productive stuff.
yeah, actually there's a term, I'll probably think of it here in a moment, but people talk about how this is not cutting jobs, but it's actually empowering employees to do more. So
Exactly.
yeah, no, it's
I'm thinking about we have a lot of software engineers, right? And I see in the past year how AI changed their workflow. So we're getting more software engineers, but the throughput, like we get another one and we get a 5x on throughput
yeah,
on features shipped, right? On customers attended. And
boy.
that's amazing. And I think this is a revolution that is not yet on the shop floor. It's more on like software type of companies enjoy it,
Oh,
and we're trying to
100%.
get it to the shop floor.
To me, what you're saying is pure gold because everything that we've talked about so far takes time or causes rework. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to take the time out of the equation because that increases throughput, it increases capacity, it improves almost every aspect of the manufacturing process. Just prior to our call here, I've been asking myself, where will AI take 50% of the time out of the current flow in manufacturing shops? And I'm seeing it here. This is really remarkable.
We're trying. I look at the background, right, at your background, and there's like a thing that someone is assembling there on the
Oh
right.
yeah, yeah.
And it looks like a medical device. I'm not sure what it is. It's small. I don't know. I don't know if
I
you
don't
know
even
it.
know what it is,
Yeah,
but
it's a
describe
background
the
for
image.
Zoom. That's okay. But these are the types of things I can look at and I can literally see in my own eyes how it can make the assembly faster, the engineering faster, less rework, more throughput, more yield. That's the thing. And the more it's manual today, the higher value we bring to the table.
What you're doing is you're pushing information down to the operational level where they can solve problems there instead of, oh, we have a problem. Now let's go back to engineering. I'm
Yep.
hearing you're putting in for valuable information into the hands of the operations team, but the engineers, it's very exciting. How is your software helping companies with compliance? That's got to be a big area.
So it is. So generally, SOPs is something that was invented for compliance. Because if we have someone working on the shop floor for 15 years, we probably won't write an SOP because he doesn't want to write it. It works. Let's not break something that works, right? That's what it says. But there are industries that this just can't work, right? So medical devices, pharmaceuticals, life sciences, aerospace, defense, those types of industries. And us as a software are compliant with all of those. So from ITAR through AS 9100, through FDA, we have to have it. And then the whole system is built around helping the customer stay compliant on one side, but without paying an enormous check to do it again and again. So you can be compliant with paper, but
Yes,
that's hard. It
yes,
costs a lot. You have
yes.
like people working on those papers to work on those papers. And if it's digital and it does all of the compliance by itself, that's a lot of money on the table.
Incredible. All of these pain points, these are real pain points for manufacturers. And it's interesting that you've thought this through, that you've really addressed this. Could you share some case studies? Do you have some case studies where just from the time, I don't know, they decided to work with you and then how did they implement your solution?
I'll give a very specific case study because it's very tangible and I really love it. And it's an American company, a big American company, multinational actually, but it's not about anything that we talked about. It's very specific and
Oh,
that's why I love it. So it's an American company. They have a site in Israel and in the East and in the States, a lot of factories globally, right? And they had a specific thing that they were building and they wanted to replicate the same thing for another one of their factories in a different country. And they had a $100,000 budget for translating all of those SOPs. So it's a regulated, like a defense type of thing, right? Where you have SOPs for everything, and that's a lot of SKUs. That's a nice amount of money just to translate. And we have a feature. It's a small feature in X Plus that you can translate with AI. And it's not like Google Translate. You can actually tell the system how to translate. You can give it like a human translator, like instructions on how do you want to translate it, right? I'm from the defense industry. Here's the list of things we want to translate in a specific way. And they put it inside like they would give like their translators. They clicked the button, shipped it to the other factory. They checked it, and in 24 hours and with $0, they got it working on like
oh,
the other side of the world. So that's like a small thing for us. It's a small feature, but the value it created was like on
incredible.
another scale.
Oh my
They
word.
didn't share the budget. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah. That's amazing. For so many reasons, only because as companies grow and scale, because I know several companies who they buy other manufacturing companies, but now
Mhm.
how do they get information from this company, getting what do you like, the consistency?
M&As or subcontracting
Yeah,
or by the way, let's leave that aside. So Israel is very multilingual. Our manufacturing is Hebrew, Russian, English, Arabic.
yeah.
And you want the employee, even though he knows Hebrew, you want him to get it in the language that is easiest for him because he'll make the least amount of error this way and he'll have
Right.
less rework because of that. And the States is multilingual as well,
Well, I
right?
was going to say every shop floor I go to is multilingual. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
And with a click of a button, you get it in the language good for the employee. Facebook is multilingual. You click
Yeah,
a button, you get it in your own
that's
language.
right.
Why not your shop floor system?
Okay, going a little bit back to compliance here, but it sounds like your software is helping companies prepare for their audits because that's a very huge thing every single time. But it sounds like this could really speed up the whole audit prep.
I want to say something different. We're not helping our customers prep for their audits is because I think that prepping for audits is something of the past. What do you do when you prep for the audit? You look for all of the papers you lost, right? And
Yes,
then you create papers that you didn't find, right? And then
yes,
you're ready for the audit. But if
yes.
it's there by definition and digital and in the right format for FDA or for ISO or for or whatever, and it's ready, you don't need to prepare for the audit. Make him come wherever he wants, and you're ready for the audit.
Oh my word. Okay, make it a thing of the past. That would be
Preparing for audits should be a thing of the past.
wow. I love that vision. That's very powerful.
It's reality for not all of our customers. It's not but it's reality for a lot of our customers
Yeah, I was going to say
because it's
that it can be a reality.
exactly.
Yeah, such an enabling technology. How long does this take to set up when you're working with a company?
So I'm going to say something that in most cases, like our prospects don't believe us. And that's why we have like free trials and things like that. But literally, like time to value for a mid-sized manufacturer is 30 to 90 days. They get ROI, like full ROI, fully operational, starting to work with the system. Smaller manufacturers where they have not a lot of SOPs or not a lot of part numbers, days, like
Whoa,
days instead of months.
wow. And so do your customers typically devote somebody to this to learn your software, to learn how to set it up and
It's
what?
more of a we have a saying in Hebrew, not. It's more of a like a added to the job. So you have a manufacturing engineer. So now instead of working with Word documents and Excel, he works with Nextplus.
Ah,
Or you have a like line manager. So instead of working with paper, he works with Nextplus. So it's not another person. It's the same people working with a new tool and getting more
okay.
throughput.
Okay. That's pretty easy. I
Should be. We hope. We're trying.
My goodness. So if a company's we're really excited to share this with our camps community and beyond that to help people get to know you. But if they say, wow, I would really like to learn more about this, how do they get a hold of you?
Awesome. So first of all, www.nextplus.io. Second of all, reach out to me. I'm sure we'll leave my email, Mickey's
Yeah, yeah.
at
In fact, I'll have all your
nextplus.io.
contact information on the video.
Just reach me out. And we love this cooperation and we're giving out to the camps community. And we want to give a really cool giveaway that I'm not sure I'll say here, but we'll write in
Okay.
the description
Yeah, we'll
because
put it
we'll
in the
talk about it
description.
first, Kirk.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really awesome because we want the camps community to enjoy this and to get into the upside of this technology as fast as they can. That's what we want.
Well, I really like that in our conversation today, we were able to really talk about, I think, real issues that the manufacturers are facing that they see every day. And the fact that you've thought this through, that you've created a solution that now they can just go to Next Plus rather than the spreadsheet or the Google Doc or the Word document, then to me, that's very powerful.
I think what's differentiating us from other companies in the field is that we're literally manufacturers, right? I, until recently, had a factory in Israel. So we love the field. We understand it from the pain points because we have those pain points, right? When people say by manufacturers for manufacturers, that's the literal thing that we're building here. So it's not like we're a startup that, oh, we think we can help
Yeah.
manufacturing if we'll do X. No, we're manufacturers. We know what's our pain points and we're trying to remediate them.
I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. And then we'll put more information in the description of the video. And then I'm looking forward to introducing more and more companies to you.
Thank you so much, Kirk. It was an awesome conversation and I had a lot of fun.
Thank you.